Rahu and Ketu are actually one planet with two projections. They're also known as the dragon's head and dragon's tail, or the north and south nodes, both of which let you know that they're two parts of the same entity. In Vedic mythology, literally, they're two parts of the same entity. One entity was cut in half and thrown into two different parts of the sky. So Rahu and Ketu symbolize the same things, but in opposite directions. They symbolize the same subjects, but each one has an opposite flavor on that subject. The reason why they're considered planets at all is because they cause eclipses. That's their visible effect. And they move like planets because the point where an eclipse is possible, if the sun and moon line up, will move gradually throughout the year. So they move like planets and they're visible like planets, so we think of them as a planet. Now all the symbolism of Rahu and Ketu come from this fact that they cause eclipses. If you think about what eclipses are and what they're like, you'll understand what Rahu and Ketu are and what they're like. Essentially, an eclipse is a sudden, dramatic change. It's daytime, everything's normal, and then all of a sudden it's nighttime. And then it's back to day again. A sudden, unexpected, dramatic, scary, shocking change. The full moon is in the sky, then all of a sudden it turns red, then it's gone, then it comes back. So that's the core of Rahu and Ketu's symbolic content, is sudden, dramatic, unexpected, unnerving, shocking changes. So to put it in one word, I would call it transformation. They're the agents that symbolize transformation. But as I said, they had different flavors in the same subjects. So Rahu is external and Ketu is internal. So Rahu symbolizes external changes, changes in our external situation, changes in our external ways of life. Ketu symbolizes internal transformations, changes in how we feel, changes which draw us inward. Now because they symbolize sudden transformations and changes, they also symbolize chaos. This chaos is just like the condition in which you don't understand what's going on right after a big change. So Rahu again is chaos on an external level, and Ketu is internal chaos. Chaos in the thoughts, chaos in the feelings. And also because they represent these radical changes, they represent radicalism. Both politically and ideologically and in all sorts of ways, Rahu and Ketu represent radicalism. Because Rahu is futuristic and Ketu is ancient, Rahu's radicalism is liberalism. He's radical left-wing. Ketu is radically conservative, radically right-wing. So they are the eclipses, so they symbolize sudden changes, transformations, and so that means they also symbolize chaos and radical elements. So you know all the elements in society that are radical, they're symbolized by Rahu and Ketu, the punks, the revolutionaries, the loudmouths, the protesters. All those are kind of on the Rahu side, and then on the Ketu side, you have all the subversives, the espionagers, and those revolutionary writers and revolutionary thinkers. But a super important thing about Rahu and Ketu, not to neglect, is that they are agents of amplification and magnification. So whatever they're with in a chart, it's going to get affected by these transformations and chaos and radicalism. If they're close to, say, for example, Jupiter, then they're going to magnify Jupiter. If they're getting aspects from a certain planet, they're going to magnify the qualities of those aspects. They're points of magnification and amplification. And another general important thing about Rahu and Ketu is that they represent compulsions, changes which are irresistible. They have opposite flavors on the same subjects. So what are those opposites? The opposites that Rahu is always forward or future oriented, and Ketu is always backwards or past oriented. Rahu is always upward, Ketu is always downward. So Rahu looks up to the sky, Ketu looks down under the ground, drills down into things, tries to get deep. Rahu tries to get high, Ketu tries to get deep. And the third polarity is Rahu is outward and Ketu is inward. So therefore, Rahu is kind of like the transformational force that draws the soul outward towards the extrinsic, external world. And so Rahu is thought of as sort of a materialistic force, but shouldn't be misunderstood. In essence, it's an outward force. An application of that essence is materialism, externalism. But if you take a spiritual principle and combine it with Rahu, then you'll get an external projection of that spiritual principle. For example, you might get a very loud preacher because their ethics and their morals and their sense of religion will get broadcast and amplified outward by Rahu. And since Ketu is a force of inward transformation, it tends to be seen as the opposite of Rahu. Rahu is the force of materialistic, right? The force of the soul pushing outward. But Ketu is that spiritual force, the force of the soul pulling inward, pulling back into itself, pulling back into its ancient root, going down into where it really roots from. Downward, backwards, inwards. That's Ketu. That's all leading to my origin. So Ketu is very interested in origins of things. And Ketu is considered a planet of introverts. People who are introspective, spiritualists, people who look within themselves and search within themselves. So there you have all the really key essential symbols of Rahu and Ketu. Of course, there's hundreds of other possible applications of these symbols, but these are the basic ones that you apply in a zillion different ways to get a zillion different specifics. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is my style, teaching the essential symbols and leaving the details for you to figure out on your own whenever you need to, so not to bog down your mind. That's how I'm going to do it in my book, which is going to be called The Essential Symbols of Astrology, and that's how I teach it in my classes. If you want to enroll in my classes, you can go to my website.